Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's 6 o'clock. We try to start on time. Thank you for being here for the City Council meeting for June 5th, 2024. And the time is 6 o'clock straight up. So appreciate everyone being here. Would like to have Jackenzie Jones, our newly crowned queen for Payson City, if she'd come up and do the prayer. Right up here. Okay. She kind of volunteered, so. Right there.
Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this day today. We're grateful that we can gather as a community and give our thoughts on it. We're grateful for our town, and we're grateful to be here together. And I say these things in Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the pledge. Amberly Peacock, take them up.
Repeat the pledge after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Amberly. Appreciate it very much. As you can see, she's got a new second agenda, and there's more to come. Okay, we'll go on to C. Consent agenda. Number 1, approval of the May 15th, 2024 City Council minutes. Number 2, State Auditor Fraud Questionnaire. Number 3, Payson Victim Services Report. Number 4, Resolution Settlement Agreement with the Department of Environmental Quality. And number 5, Resolution Surplus Old Computers. Council, if there's no further discussion on these items, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I have a couple of corrections for the minutes.
Say what?
I have a couple of corrections for the minutes.
Okay, good.
So in my report, it says that I visit the 2 sites with EDC Utah. I didn't visit with them, but they came down and visited. And then on the grants that when Dave Tuckett reported, the grant for the trails in Dry Creek was 104,000. I think it said 114, and for 4 bays, 125,000. I can't remember what it said for that, but those are just a couple of corrections.
Any discussion on those corrections? Sound good to everybody? Okay, with those corrections in mind, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the consent agenda contingent on the approval of the May 15th correction to the City Council minutes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Moving on to D, petitions. Introduction of Miss Payson Royalty. Amber? Come on up with your royalty. Already met 2 of them. We'd like to meet the 3rd one.
I'm Amber Woodland, and I'm Shalice Walker, and we're the new co-directors of Miss Payson, and we're really happy to introduce our new royalty to you. Good second attendant.
I'm Amberly Peacock. My parents are Jen and Katrina Peacock. I'm Rosalind Nielsen. My parents are Ben and Sarah Nielsen. I'm Jackenzie Jones. My parents are April and Ryan Jones. My community service initiative for this year is called Unleash Your Inner Spark. Basically, it's focusing on helping others in our community find what they truly love so they can feel self-confident and feel loved.
And that's our royalty.
Thank you. This is a follow-up, ladies and gentlemen. I know some of the council was there. I was there as well. these young ladies are the best of the best. It was very, very tight contest, and we are excited. I know I'm personally excited to see, work with you and see you represent our city. Thank you.
Maybe you could tell us what talents you did.
I did dance. I danced to Somewhere Over the Rainbow by Lauren Allred. I did a little thing called the Her Story, which is actually really new to the Miss America program. And I just talked about how fashion and clothing has inspired me and made me who I am today. And I did my own ASL interpretation to the song Good Company by Andy Kramer.
Council, any other questions, discussion?
I was there as well, Mayor, and I just want to say how impressed I am with all of the young women that entered the pageant. And there were no losers, as all of them tried really hard and showed off their talents. And ultimately, these three winners, these three young women, I'm grateful that they're willing to put themselves out there like this and show this confidence and help our city. You guys are going to be the face and brand of our city during your reign in this administration as Miss Payson and your two attendants. So please continue to smile and help out just like you girls did. I was very impressed with each of your talents.
Hey, you want to get a picture with us? You bet. Yeah, let's get a picture with you.
And Amber and Shalise, thank you. You guys are the unsung heroes. You put the whole production together and it went really well.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Step down in that little hole there.
Oh, I like that.
I'll get down here.
I was saying
Payson's high heels.
Over this for just a little.
Congratulations.
Ladies, as I said, we are very excited for you to represent the city and look forward to the parade you'll be in this year.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on, practice your ways. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know, never put it in the water.
Let's not try.
Okay, moving on. We would like to, once again, during the summer months, honor a yard of the month for those in the city that are really showing their yards off. And so turn some time over to Council Moss. Yeah.
Okay, Mayor and Council, I am pleased to announce our first Yard of the Month for the summer. And the prize is a $100 gift card to Olson's Greenhouse. And the winner for this month is our Max and Diane Peterson. They want to come up and give their prize.
And Max is fishing,
Oh, okay. I guess we'll excuse him then.
but he's the one that really needs to.
Yes.
He's the partner.
Okay, well, I guess you'll have to share this with him then. You'll have to share this with him then. Don't tell him you got it. Congratulations.
Dave,
Oh,
do we have-
with the maximum.
I get, this is my sister, ladies, and gentlemen. I get to boss around a little bit. Come on down.
Yes.
this bank of lights give up or they just not switched on?
Picture in the Chronicle.
Full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I am on that committee, but I did not vote at this time. Okay, moving on. Number 3, discussion regarding Utah Lake Authority. Luke, are you here? There you go, Luke, you just sit down.
And Mayor and Council, Luke's the Executive Director of Utah Lake Authority. He wants some time to come and address the council. So yeah, I think most people know Luke. He's a hometown boy. But come on up, Luke. Like this or.
Go to the website.
Or I can do with that. We'll just do with that. Use your imaginations on our presentation. Good evening, everybody. I'm Luke Peterson. It's good to be here. I wanted to talk about the Utah Lake Authority a little bit, fill you in on what we're doing and what we're up to. The ULA, just so everybody knows, was created by the Utah legislature a couple of years ago, and the legislature was concerned that there just wasn't enough focus on the lake. There wasn't one person, one organization whose job it was to make sure that the lake was thriving, that it was getting the support it need as a recreation destination, as an ecological treasure, and as a resource to all the communities here in Utah County. So they created the Utah Lake Authority, and I've been running it now for 5 months, and it's been a journey. When I met with Representative Celeste Malloy 2 months ago, I introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Luke. I run the Utah Lake Authority." And she goes, "Oh, so you have the worst job in the world." I tend to think that I have the best job in the world. I think that Utah Lake is this terrific asset that we just haven't quite realized that it's an asset yet. And instead, we tend to think of it as a deficit in our community. I worked in local government in Rhode Island and Iowa before coming back to Utah. And I can tell you most places in the country, they would be really, really excited to have Utah Lake in their backyard. But part of what our challenge is that we have sort of as Utahns, we have kind of a definition of what a lake is, which is based more on what a reservoir is, right? We tend to think it needs to be cold and deep and stocked with a certain type of fish and that sort of thing. Whereas Utah Lake is a very ancient, shallow lake, a leftover piece of Lake Bonneville that is the third, by surface area, the third largest lake in the western United States. A freshwater lake, I should say. And part of what we're trying to do with the Utah Lake Authority is to take the budget that the legislature has given us of $1.5 million per year. And we're very glad to have that money, but at the same time, if you gave me $1 billion tomorrow, I could spend it and we'd still have plenty of things we need to work on at Utah Lake. So we're trying to leverage that 1.5 million as much as we can. So we're working with our federal delegation, we're working with state and federal and private grant makers, foundations, charitable foundations, just about anybody you can think of, so that we can make each dollar go further than it would otherwise. So a couple of the things that we're working on that I think are noteworthy. Everybody, I think, is aware that there are carp in Utah Lake, right? I refer to myself as mayor to 1 million carp. And I'm in the business of killing off my residents. And we're trying to get that number down. But it used to be 10 million carp, so we are making a lot of progress. And we used to have a method for fishing them out using commercial fishing methods, which actually managed to bring those numbers down to a point where it is no longer effective. So we've kind of reached a turning point with the lake in the past couple of years on carp, where we're having to invent new tactics for dealing with the carp. So that's a good sign, right? It's a little bit of a challenge, but it means that we're making some significant progress. As the number of carp go down, then the number of other fish go up, including the previously endangered June sucker and sport fish. So the number of sport fish and the size of sport fish in Utah Lake continues to increase. And then along with that, we have the invasive Phragmites, which is a grass that grows around Utah Lake. I always hate to point out that it's usually the one that's like in a family portrait when people take a family portrait by the lake. But it's actually a really invasive grass that ruins the ecology of the lake. And we've spent the last 13 years trying to cut it back. Similarly, it's down about 80% around Utah Lake. And this year is the first year that we've begun to really plant native species back in its place. So it's an exciting time for Utah Lake, and we're at some critical turning points on that front. We recently received a grant that will allow us to increase the number of native plantings we do next year tenfold. And then we're doing a number of other things, working on another grant that will allow us to finally actually figure out how many people visit Utah Lake, when they visit Utah Lake, why they visit Utah Lake, all that sort of thing. And also why not? So people who avoid the lake, what their perceptions are. We know that a lot of that is based on things that were maybe true of the lake 30 or 40 years ago that still shape people's perceptions. But we're doing a massive study, putting counters at all the access points to the lake that will actually count the number of people coming through each day, and then also a market survey so that we can understand the motivations behind people visiting or not visiting the lake. And then finally, we've got two requests that are moving forward. One with Congressman Owens that will allow for improved recreation access to Utah Lake. It's currently ranked 4th in his funding priorities, and so it should hopefully be funded this year. If not, we expect it to be funded next year. But that will allow us to do some improvements and master planning all around the lake, including at Lincoln Beach, Lincoln Point, some of the areas down here at the southern end of the lake. And we're really appreciative of Congressman Owens for his support there. And then the other is a request that we've supported with UVU to create a Utah Lake Nature Center. The land for it is right behind the Linden Marina, and it's being donated by the city of Linden. We really appreciate them. Congressman Curtis has ranked it as his top priority for funding this year. So he's gonna help us get $5 million of funding towards that, and then working with UVU, we'll get the remainder that we need either through their O&M budget or through the legislature. But really excited about that. It'll be a great opportunity for us to continue to offer more and more education around the lake about why it's useful to people, but also to do research, applied research. So we're looking to be able to fund applied research around things like what is the best way to remove some of these invasive species like carp and Phragmites, and how can we stop harmful algal blooms? How can we better treat them more efficiently or early? And anyway, it'll allow us to partner not just with UVU, but with other institutions of higher education throughout the state to improve the quality of the lake. So those are some of the things that we're working on. I really just wanted to come and give you a little update on what we're doing. Most of our board is comprised of mayors of cities that the statute right now reads that their city line goes within a half mile of the lake shore. But obviously I know that cities who don't necessarily meet that criteria have an interest in the lake and how it affects their communities. So I wanted to just come give this presentation and answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
What's up? Go ahead, Mayor.
I've got a real quick one, and it may, you defined what lakes usually are, not reservoirs, they're not deep, but
Yeah.
Obviously that lake has been around for centuries,
Mhm.
and there has been some sediment in the bottom of it that raised the level of that up. Are there any plans? I know it would be very costly, maybe just in certain areas of that lake, to dredge it. And
Yeah.
maybe that would cure some of the problems that you just outlined.
Yeah, so there is a study that we're just starting with the Utah Department of Natural Resources, which was funded this last legislative session, a bill that was sponsored by Senator Bramble. And it will look at strategic dredging as a potential solution. It'll look at some other things that might be done. It will frankly look at all kinds of things. But the idea of the proposal from a couple of years ago, maybe dredging the whole lake and creating islands, that's not likely to happen anytime soon.
That's fine.
Yeah, the price tag on that would have been approximately the same as the state of Utah's budget for a year. So, if we go without police or anything for a year, we could maybe do it. But as far as doing more strategic dredging in places, I think that's very much an ongoing discussion that we're looking at.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey Luke,
Yeah.
on that note, I've had a crazy idea for a lot of years, but nobody ever cared to listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
I mean, there are a lot of gold and silver mines in our mountains. Have we ever bothered to do a core sample to see if there's any heavy metals in it that might constitute somebody wanting the material out of the bottom of it? If you want somebody that wants it, it's way cheaper to remove it from the bottom of our lake. I know it would take a lot of regulations. They're not in it for all the money, but
Yeah.
we could find a way to get them just a little bit of profit and still get us to succeed. I don't know that it would be a difficult core sample to take, but nonetheless, I still think that might be an avenue, and you're probably the only guy in the world that's gonna care.
And
Because
I
I've
can't-
asked a lot of other people, and they don't seem to care.
You're all, no. So I don't know the answer to that one, if we have done it before. We do core sampling, or various scientists have done core sampling of the lake over the years for various things. I'm more than happy to look into it though, because I know we sample it all the time, so I don't know if that's captured any of that.
Well, part of it is that we have a smelter nearby
Yeah,
that's big enough to handle it, and that's why I keep leaning back towards
Yeah.
it, that if Kennecott can dig a hole in the side of a mountain big enough that you can see it from space, I'm pretty sure they could dredge the bottom of our lake
yeah,
and make it worthwhile, so.
yeah, that's a good
Food for
point.
thought.
All right, yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, if you can inside out a mountain like that, then you could do it underwater. Yeah, I think there are all kinds of things we've looked at, and you raise a good point, which is all the different jurisdictions of the lake. Depending on the issue you're talking about, Bureau of Reclamation's involved, Park Service, state entities come into play, my office comes into play, private landowners come into play. And it gets really messy really quick when you're trying to figure out, can we do this? Because there's so many overlapping.
I've been in government long enough to know that there's overlaps in everything.
Yeah. And for some reason, once you add water, there are a lot more. But yeah, it's interesting. I'll look into it and I'll let you know.
Yeah, Luke, thank you for your work. There's obviously no greater resource in our state than water and managing it. And I love Utah Lake. And so please don't spread the word too much, because I was actually there today launching my boat from Lincoln Beach. So I love it. We use it probably once a week. My family does.
Yeah.
And the plan to to dredge and create an island, did that only die because of funding, or was there enough pushback? I don't want to lay my cards on the table, but the island thing was an awful idea.
Yeah.
Awful idea.
It died, I think, for a number of reasons. I, at one point, read the entire 800-page proposal for it. And I would say that the biggest challenge in it, more than anything, was that their estimates were way too low. Their cost, they overestimated their ability to make a profit quickly and underestimated the cost of dredging. Dredging is just unbelievably expensive. Anytime you see a marina go and dredge out a little path so they can get boats out, it's millions of dollars for a tiny path. And so I think the economics of it never really made sense. Now, maybe if you find gold all over the place, you can make a case for it. But just in terms of, we're going to make real estate the upfront workload and then the much later payout. I don't know how any company, unless they were very large and had a lot of capital reserves, could have done it.
Excellent. And what's our water level right now in Utah Lake?
It's great. It's really high. I'm not sure what it is exactly today, but they opened up the gates earlier in the season, and it dropped from 100% down to 97% for about 3 hours, and then it was back up to 100.
Excellent.
And it's been around 102, 103, 104 recently, quite a bit.
I was up against the freeway and I haven't seen it there.
Yeah.
In 20 years.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Oh wait, there's water there.
Yeah. Yeah, I live in Provo now, and I hike along up in Slate Canyon pretty often. And you look down and you see the water level has just kept rising. I keep going, why? I think that's supposed to be city where the water is so bad.
Awesome. Thank you, Libby.
Any other questions? If not, I've got one last. Lost it for a second. You mentioned that there are certain cities that have more influence on the board.
Yeah.
Because they maybe have a shoreline. I know we have tributaries that go into Utah Lake. Would love to have a little bit more of a presence and influence in what goes on there. Is there any opportunity for that?
The way that, back when we were an interlocal agency and we effectively came up with the rules for how we operated, we had more flexibility. That was the upside. We had less money, but we had more flexibility in terms of how we do things. Currently, now everything that we do is regulated by the enabling legislation that was passed by the legislature. And we can always amend it, but that does require, some work up at the hill. But right now it has that specification. So if you want to annex over to the lake, we can probably put you on the board pretty quickly.
A little aggressive.
Yeah, a little aggressive. But in the interim, I would say that my door is always open. I'm always happy to help and to work with. We have cities that go right up to the lake who aren't on our board too. Right now, American Fork, Spanish Fork, and Springville don't have a seat on the board. But I try to stay in contact with everyone and work with everyone as best we can.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Dave, looks like there's somebody online raising their hand.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
Well, if she can take it off mute and ask her questions.
It's Juliana Westford.
Can you hear Juliana?
Okay, can you hear me? Sorry, I am not really good at this. Let's see if I can put my video on. I have no idea how to do this. Okay, well, I don't know. My name is Juliana Westberg. I wish you could see me so you would know what I look like and can put a name to a face, but I just wanted to join this meeting and introduce myself. I live on West Mountain. My property butts up against BLM land. And my husband and I and our neighbors, we've become aware recently, just in the last couple of days, of the massive gun range that's being proposed right
Yeah.
behind.
This, you know, this discussion was just with Utah Lake, is that right?
You know what? I don't even know how this works, so I'm sorry. And no, but this did not have to do with Utah Lake. I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead with what you're talking.
Okay, okay, you know what? I just wanted to introduce myself and just say that I'm concerned about what I feel is a lack of transparency with the gun range because it's such a huge project. It's going to bring so many big changes to West Mountain and my neighborhood, and some are very concerning. So as I just wanted to let you know that we as a neighborhood and West Mountain all the way down, we are really interested in working with you guys in this gun range proposal and just having our concerns addressed and also potentially creating a little bit more of a buffer so that, you know, our home is not 30 feet from the gun range. So if there's another meeting that I could maybe bring up more things, that'd be great. That's just, I just wanted to kind of just let you know that, you know, we'd like to work with you and have a little bit more transparency.
We'd love to work with you, Suzanne, that would be wonderful.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
Thanks.
Could we get Juliana's phone number?
Yes, can I give that privately?
Oh, you can, if you don't want to give it out on.
Yeah, if you don't want to give it out online, you can.
Do it online.
Oh, how do I do this? Do you have it just?
On Zoom here, you can send a private message to Kim.
Okay, to Kim. Okay, yep, I see that. Oh, I'm so bad at this. So I have to go to,
Julianne,
yes. Yes.
yeah,
What do I do?
email me at kimh@payson.org.
Okay, let me just write that down. So it's kimh@payson.org. Okay, I will send you my email. So kimh@payson.org. I'll send you my contact information, actually, not just my email. Does that work?
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much.
Can we retroactively open the public forum?
Well, that's where I was going, but we'll be fine. We'll move on to the public forum. Ladies and gentlemen, anyone can speak at a public forum and that the subjects are, well, they're open, that's not on the agenda, so we'll go ahead and open up a public forum.
All right, before we move on, I just wanted to say thanks personally to Luke. I appreciate you coming down and felt like you got cut off there at the end and wanted to make sure that you knew that we appreciated your insight and hope you do great things.
Thanks. Wonderful. Okay, I guess we're ready to go ahead and open that public forum. So anyone here or online would like to come and address the council? Please identify yourself as you are at the podium and would love to hear from you. You bet. You
Excellent.
can.
So you'll have to share.
As long as Kim gets one of these, that's the important thing. We can give her one of these.
Perfect. So my name is Michael Rosenbaum and I live in Stavanger, Norway. And I'm here visiting my father, Melvin Blaney. And we,
Talk on the phone.
yes, we have an ongoing issue with the way that the code ordinance is written. And so I brought some photos that may help us identify what the issue is and why it's an issue. So my father resides on Main Street in Payson, and he is right at the crest of the hill. And with that, the way that the hill in his driveway sits, his driveway is about 25 to 35 feet long if he's parked inside the carport. And so when he leaves, there's no visibility around the hedge of the neighbors to see who's on that sidewalk. And the reason why that's a concern is because it's a pretty busy sidewalk with the elementary, the high school, and the pool nearby. Every year I come, it's an issue, and he says, hey, call and get this fixed. And every year I do. So I'm just thinking long-term, if we could look at the code and see if there's any possibility to changing it to like a 25-foot sight triangle from intersecting streets and driveways, that would solve the issue. Because of the hill, what happens is the code enforcement comes and they say, hey, the bushes are 42 inches from the sidewalk. Well, the problem with that is if you look at the photos on the page where it says visibility, and those were taken today after code enforcement came out and after the neighbor had trimmed the live hedge, which there's not a live hedge ordinance that I could find in my discussions with Michael Bryant. But the problem with that is you can't see through that. You can't see if anyone's walking down there. My father owns a farm on West Mountain. If he's backing out of his truck or out of the driveway, he's driving a truck, which the trucks are about 7.5 feet. So he proactively will back into the driveway so that he has better visibility, but come on, the dude's almost 80. And
Who owns the shrubbery?
The what?
Who owns, is this on city property? Is this another neighbor?
This is another neighbor.
Another neighbor,
This is
okay.
south. This is south. I
Yeah.
grew up in Sokoka.
Right,
Mill right there on the corner.
yes,
Right on,
And so is it farther to the west?
to the south.
to this,
So it's the south.
up the hill,
Okay.
going up the hill.
And the neighbor won't remove it till you had this discussion with them.
So that's my other second concern that I'd like to address with the council. So we've had a number of conversations with the neighbor, and it's just stalemate. They like their privacy and they don't want to change anything. So when we had a discussion, or let me preface that, when I had a question or a discussion with code enforcement went over there and said, hey, Mel's daughter called and this is the issue. So I think there's gotta be some finessing of confidentiality when people have a complaint. It'd be nice if the standard for code enforcement to address something would not be like, hey, Mel Blaney called and he's mad that your shrubs are 10 feet tall. That would go a long way too.
And it should be confidential, so that's,
Yes,
sorry that happened.
no, it's good. We're all just doing our best, so.
We're obviously not,
Here?
we're obviously not gonna solve this right here, right now. But I'm
Okay.
very happy that you're here and that now that
Haven't put their names out of it. Sorry.
you're fine. But,
So,
you know, is there anything else you'd like to? make us
so
aware of?
the last picture, on your little folder is a picture that I took today of Mills standing there right at the 1 foot mark. And he's like 5'10". So imagine like if there's kids and they're there, the last thing that I want to see is like my father hit someone. I almost ran over Lori Wilson one day. She shrieked and jumped back. And I stopped and I looked and couldn't see anyone. So I started to back out again and almost ran over her again. So anyway, and I'm very cautious. So it just needs to be, I don't know, the older my father gets, the more serious of a concern it is. And I love our men and our code enforcement agencies. Like I think, but I just want there to be no subjectivity where it's not like, hey, the code enforcement age, says that it's good. I mean, there's just gotta be a standard that's applicable that ensures the safety of the people that use that sidewalk,
How long are you gonna be here? I know you got plans to go back.
as long as it takes,
As long
Bill.
as it takes,
Yeah.
okay.
No,
I'm sure we can have a running dialogue with you.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a valid concern as a busy sidewalk.
I don't think we need to zero in on Mel. There are a lot of intersections that I see that are blind and tight corners, so. If our police see them, have them maybe mention tall weeds and teach them what a Chinese elm looks like. And so this week it might be 8 feet tall, next week it'll be 22 feet tall. And there are a lot of those growing on the curves, so. Just throwing that out there.
Anyone else would like to come in?
Mayor, we have TNCom online.
What's that?
TNCom is
Oh,
online.
okay. Yanko.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I came outside because my house is noisy. Kim, am I allowed to share my screen at all?
No.
Okay, well, my name's Tiancum Clark. I live at 330 North, 300 East. And I have a hole in my driveway that's 2 years old this month. I'm really excited for it. It's just growing weeds. And I've been trying to get it fixed. You guys moved a meter from my driveway over into my lawn and then left a patch of dirt for me. And I called about a month ago and a fella came out and said, we just can't figure out a way to order that little of concrete and get it patched. You know, you're going to have to wait a couple weeks, and it's been a month. So I thought I'd bring to you guys my proposal of just letting me fix it.
Well, that's something that we'll have to,
We'll get somebody out there.
sounds like that's gonna be the plan then. To get somebody-
Because I can go and buy 3 bags of concrete and a couple of trowels and get it. I can rent a mixer from Home Depot for $50 for 4 hours. I can get that done lickety split. It might be cheaper than having 7 guys stare into a hole, which I've seen down the street a couple of months ago. So I'm just trying to save the taxpayers money of Payson and maybe get my driveway fixed. If you guys could
We'll take-
powers that be, that'd be great.
What's your address again, Yanko?
330 North, 300 East.
3030 North.
330, 330.
330 North. 300. Okay, thank you, Yanko.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate you.
Tianco.
Glad
Bye,
you
guys.
came online and talked to us.
Appreciate you.
Anyone else online? Anyone here in the congregation that would like to address? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public forum and move on to number 5, staff reports. I knew you'd be getting up here today.
Mayor and council, I want to thank you all for supporting Adventure Day. Hope you all had fun. I think I love it when the city council comes because it's a great opportunity to see the people that live in Payson. You can see how they interact at our events and how much fun they have and how appreciative they are because they are a part of it. And you can see how much work it takes and you'll see familiar faces in the, from Payson City who always support those events. So thank you for coming. All of you probably know, but my granddaughter was baptized that same day too. So my day started quite early. So I want to thank Ashley and Derek. They met before 7 a.m. and we got everything set up so I could leave by 9 o'clock. So big thanks to them. I want to thank Kent and Jonathan and who else was involved, Travis. He doesn't like me to mention his name up here, but I always do. Anyway, I want to thank them for pushing to get the road on Main Street fixed. They were working on it late that night on Friday night as I was marking vendors and they were getting the last done by 9 p.m. so that we were able to have that road all beautiful for Saturday morning. I want to thank April and Ruthie's sister, and they've already gone, but they were me during the event while I was gone. city involved since I wasn't there. I want to thank Amanda and Emily from the courts. They ran the bounce houses and the inflatables for me. Alice and her husband and Cheryl, they did the escape room. And Melanie, she was over our treasure box. I want to thank Donna from the library. She was over the puzzle contest. So it really was an effort this time to put Adventure Day on, getting everyone involved. Our next event is the Rock Festival. Come, you all need to come and be a part of that too. This is June 28th and 29th. So it's one of the funnest events we have, and there's several hundred people that'll come to that too. So it's really fun.
What are the details on that, Janine? Time and place?
Friday, it'll start at 2 and it'll go till 10.
Okay,
And then Saturday, it starts at 10 a.m. and will go till 10 p.m.
at
So
the
we just-
bandstand?
The
Okay.
bandstand. So we have like the drum set already set up so we can rotate the bands through really quick. So we have young bands and it's just amazing. It's one of the funnest events we do. So you'll want to come.
Janine, those times again, one more time.
So Friday, June 28th, starting at 2 p.m. and we'll play music till 10 p.m. and then Saturday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. So we have bands that come from all over.
Playing in that one?
Yeah. All right, any questions?
Not a question, Janine, but really thank you. Adventure Days was a huge success.
Thank you.
And you delegated to the right people. Everybody got it done. I know us council members had fun putting the puzzle together. Minus we were missing a piece, so we
I know.
couldn't finish, but it was rigged. I think the mayor came over and took it.
I accused him of it.
Yeah.
The police would even frisk you.
They accused me of that, but
That's it.
I'm innocent. I really am.
But my kids came and then a bunch of my neighbors came and they were just so impressed. They loved it. The bouncy houses are great for the kids. The food vendors were awesome. It was a fun day.
Good, thank you.
I have a quick comment. I had mentioned to some people and they're like, well, how come we never heard of it? And I really want to see us try to lean towards getting somebody in the city that PRs all that
Yeah, that would
puts
be
it all
awesome.
out there and.
Yeah, because I don't have a budget for any marketing.
No, and that's,
So, yeah, so all I do is our Facebook page, like Payson Indoor Yard Sale, Santaquin Indoor Yard Sale, Salem, I do it Utah County. I mean, but I really don't have a huge budget.
I mean, I'm just
so-
talking everything in general. I know that there were a lot of people that were, my mother was one, she says, well, how come everybody says you can get tickets to Salmon Supper and I can't? And then we let Payson residents go early and then they sold out really, really fast this time.
Yeah.
So,
No, it was a good idea.
but she just didn't know, I'm not blaming you, I'm just trying to put a plug in
For what?
for somebody in the city, a
Oh,
PR
PR
person.
person. I thought you were talking about Sam's.
Dave's over there taking notes.
All of a
Janine, I'm
sudden-
talking to
all of
Dave,
a
not to
sudden-
you. You're doing
all
a
of
great
sudden
job.
Sam's Supper came on. Since you brought up Salmon Supper, just to let you know, Salmon Supper tickets, we sell 4,500 each year. This year, we opened it up for Payson City residents if they read their little blip in their newsletter. So if you throw that newsletter away, you didn't see it, sorry, that's the only place I advertised. So we were able to sell, after Memorial Day, we sold Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So half the tickets went, which for me is a win-win. It's a Payson City event, and they should be the ones that are there.
Yes.
And so the other half sold Monday morning at 9 a.m. and they sold in 22 minutes.
Wow.
So
That's
it's sold out.
spectacular.
Okay, thank you.
Janine.
I want the evening shift, just so you're aware. I don't care. I'll do either one.
Thank you, Janine. Jonathan.
Sorry, made sure to get up early in the line of people this time, and so Kim doesn't yell at me again. But yeah, I was wondering too if the Frontier Marshals were gonna make an appearance, go.
On the road.
So as Janine said, we got Main Street paved from just south of 100 South, down up to 3rd South. So that's done right now. They're working on the sidewalk on the east side of the street, putting in that 10-foot wide sidewalk that kind of matches the theme coming from Main Street. So it'll have the the 2-foot colored band on the back of the walk and at the back of curb, and then the gray concrete in the middle. So that's what Red Pine is pushing on right now, and Arrow is actively repairing the library corner there, the park. They're working on the landscaping, making sure they got all the sprinklers in. They're gonna bring in sod and have that put back together real nice. Main Street has its ups and downs, but it's going. We're getting a lot of stuff done. We have a lot of stuff still to do, but it's going well. We finished the water line up the canyon from the water tanks. We finished the water line out off of 1700 West for the Christian Life Church. That extension went in and it was very smooth and easy process. Barres did a great job out there. Fulmer, I believe, is done. They should have paved this week, or they're paving tomorrow, I think, and Friday, but Fulmer should be done on 500 South with the water line there too. So we're getting a lot of stuff done, a lot of stuff wrapped up. So it's going well in for Public Works and engineering. Last council, we had a resident come and talk about traffic on 930 West. And so I hung traffic counters the last 2 weeks. I hung for a week at 1550 South, and then the last week was at 1400 South. So I have that data now. I'm going to process it all tomorrow morning, and we'll see. I'll talk with Chief Bishop and Travis, and we'll see if we can't figure out a solution to kind of help tame the speeders down that road and reduce some of the potential for accidents and catastrophes down there.
Jonathan, thank you for what you do. We really appreciate it. And from what I understand, Red Pine has been very, very good to work with. So pass that on to them.
Okay.
We're very, very pleased with them.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Just want to report, Mayor and Council, last week, you're probably all aware, but one of our employees, Jesse Smith, passed away unexpectedly. He had a very good funeral today and honored him well, but he was laid to rest today. And we've had a few of those in our employee family the last 12 months. So anyway, our hearts, thoughts and prayers go out to the Smith family. Great employee, and we appreciate having him as part of our team.
Thank you, Dave. Any other staff? Okay. We'll move on to action items. E, public hearing / ordinance amendment.
Council.
I forgot it again. Okay, council report started with Council Christensen. Sorry.
All right, well, thank you. Just as we've been talking, discussing the TOD, Red Bridge is coming together. We have all of the land that the corporation of the presiding bishopric owns out there, and I'm starting to see a little bit of concern with people maybe wanting higher density than what we really maybe need to provide. I just have kind of had a thought the last couple of weeks as they talk about the housing crisis and how to solve it. And to me, it seems like the state is going about it backwards by inundating the communities with inexpensive housing has caused the other housing to skyrocket. And I think that if we can find a way to balance that back out and put single family homes in abundance, and as something that becomes the norm rather than the sought after and the elite, then those prices, maybe we could get those to level back out just a little bit in our own community and still have that small town feel that we need and want. And so am I making any sense to you? Okay, so if we're gonna do the TOD and they're aiming for their low density of 20 units to the acre to high density of 50 units to the acre, then to me, that will meet the criteria for the city of Payson, and we need to put a hold on everything else. And anything that's approved, anticipated, we need to count those towards our numbers and try to keep a balance so that we don't get overrun. And so that we can keep our small town feel and not be Manhattan. You know, I mean, we're a far cry from that, but you get where I'm going with it. And I really do, I believe that that is the case. If they build 500 single-family homes and 3,000 apartments, single-family homes are gonna be really, really expensive. And nobody will be able to have those, and I know that that's where we need to be. So if we can look at that, put that into our ordinances, change the zoning to make that work. I know that once it's zoned a certain way, we're kind of bound, and I know that we need to watch that. And I'm not saying that everything has to be a half-acre lot, just let's see if we can get some of those more manageable sizes to be prevalent. That's all. But otherwise, you guys are doing great. Thanks.
I just have a few things here. So, we just finished up an economic development, video for the city, and we'll be getting that out to you shortly. I think a lot of the council, mayor and Dave and Robert, a lot of people were in jail were in that video. So it's a really good video. And the reason we did that is because we're being highlighted at EDC Utah a week from Friday. And so that videos for that, they have 5 different breakout sessions, and they introduce us, and we just get to talk about Payson to a bunch of investors. Another thing is this coming next week on Wednesday, we have the people from the National Main Street Program are going to come and visit our downtown, and then on the Thursday, next Thursday, the state Main Street Conference is here in Payson at
So
the.
Jonathan, we gotta be done with Main Street by next Thursday. Okay.
See, you're going about this backwards, Councilman Rowley. We need them to see the progress we're making and see if they'll find money to throw towards the facades of said buildings so that we can make it an icon that will be seen in every Hallmark movie for the next 80 years. You know, so that's the key right there. Right?
So actually, speaking on that, we got some money that the historic downtown Main Street got some money from the Main Street program. And we're going to help with trying to keep businesses open that, but they seem to do fairly well. And the city did such a great job in letting everybody know what was going on. We were able to buy string lights to go across all the streets. Some of that money, we bought some those big tall heaters for events and some fireplaces for downtown. So that'll be really good. So the other thing, Adventure Day, I'd like to just thank Janine and April and Carl for helping just put this all together. I think it went really well. And there is a scavenger hunt that started on Adventure Day, and it goes through the end of August 28th. So if anybody wants to get on that, you go to an app on your phone. It's called Event Z. So EVENTZEE, and the code is Adventure 2024. So that's a really fun thing. It's got lots of stuff going on. And you go do a lot of things in Payson. You take pictures, you go GPS to certain areas, you answer trivia questions. It's really, really fun. And the last thing, I would just, you know how everybody gets participation awards. So I have a participation award for our puzzle city council put her together. So.
Yay, this is one of those. Ryan was the one who.
Thank you.
We're not getting the prize. They got first. We get second. We get third. Let's shoot for fourth.
That just ruined my motivation for stealing the pizza puzzle. You still got a prize.
That was actually really fun. Yeah, it was fun. But where's this face go? Who's this face?
Yeah, thank you, Janine, for that opportunity. That was fun. So you, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Want to keep it short. Yeah, thanks for Adventure Day. That was wonderful. And I want to thank Weston Barney, our Parks Director as well. I coordinate with him, and we repainted with some youth in the area, repainted 12 of the park picnic tables down at the pavilion in Payson Park that needed it. That was a good time. We did that just today. And then to Robert and to Jill, I want to ask a few questions. They don't have to answer tonight, obviously, but to see if we could. This is something we could follow up with soon. in regards to Fort Bray, is it still on the surplus, Payson City surplus property to be sold? You guys know? I thought it was, Jill, wasn't it on?
So if there was a motion made by the council to declare it surplus,
And that has never been rescinded.
not to my knowledge.
Can we see about getting that on the next agenda, Kim?
That was probably 7 or 8 years ago.
There's been some time lapse.
Yeah.
More than that.
Was it more than that? It's since then.
Is that an issue or is that a non-issue? Do we have to address that?
If you wanted to do it, but this is the council right here.
I'd like to do it just so there's no open window there. That way it officially on paper says this is no longer surplus property. I'd like to see that item closed and rescinded. And obviously we can have a council discussion on how we vote.
I think we would all vote on it right now, but I think we have to go about the legal means. So let's post it and get it on the next agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to see it on next agenda, please, just so we can have that discussion. Thank you. And then, yeah, I've had a good discussion with some members in the Fort Bay committee. And just want to continue to move forward and help and improve that area and preserve it as well. And I'm just thankful for everybody's help on that, and for Jill and Robert and Michael, everybody in developmental services that have been so quick to help and answer questions. Thank you guys so much. You guys are wonderful. That's all I have, Mayor.
Just real quick, thank you. Just real quick, I'd like to, if you spurred my memory. We just went through Memorial Day at the cemetery. I know that Tracy and Wes and Todd and Ken have really worked hard at that cemetery, and would like to compliment them for their efforts. I know sometimes things go awry and we can't control that more than today, but just like to do look good though. They do. So just wanted to make sure that so thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Janine as well. That was a lot of fun. And I love being involved, and it was really fun getting together with Teresa, Ryan, and Brett, and trying to meet the other people. We tried really hard. Maybe next time. Maybe
The first team did it in 57 minutes.
And then the second team got 58 minutes. So maybe an hour and a half.
We still haven't finished. When that last piece gets here, we'll clock the time.
You should have done the big one. It's got all the codes on the back.
Oh, dang it.
That's what we should have done. What? Speaking of the puzzle, just a random thought here, Janine and April, you mentioned that maybe we could do it again, but you can actually have any picture you want made into a puzzle. That you can just get online and do it. And so maybe our photo contest that we do in the future, we could use those puzzles as ones that we could do. So it's a different puzzle, ones that nobody's seen and kind of
Nobody can practice.
a little bit of fun. Maybe try it without their picture. They just gotta guess what's on the picture. I don't know.
New giant puzzle, council member Christensen.
Yes, no, that would be horrid.
Anyway, so thanks for that and all the work that you did and your team and everything. And on to what Brett talked about with high density housing and stuff. I had the opportunity to meet with Tyler Horan this week and about all the property around Redbridge and south of that. And I expressed that we needed more single family homes because we've got too much high density. I don't think there's that much of a market as they think. There's more of a market for single family homes, and as a developer, he said, I don't think there's a market for that. And I disagree. We need more ramblers. We need more normal houses. That doesn't seem like there's anything in between townhomes and these big homes. We need something more in between. And so I hope our wishes aren't falling on deaf ears. We need more normal homes, normal single family homes. But other than that, Robert?
Go ahead.
No, I'm done. But thanks for everything the staff does. You guys are all amazing. And it's really an honor to work on city council with all of you.
Mayor, can I take just a second? I think that's really poignant, and I think you two got me out of my chair back there. I was trying not to get up today.
I was wondering, why isn't Robert coming up to talk
Walker and staff.
I sent after Councilmember Christensen stated something similar, I sent him a text message, but I want to share it with the rest of you that today we had a conversation with another development team, and I said something very similar along those lines of exactly what you said, that in our city, we have done a good job of planning for all types of development, but we want to see the fruition of some of that type of development as well. Because if you go to any planning conference or anything like that, you will constantly hear about attainable housing and missing middle housing. It's not missing in Payson. What we are missing is at the end of some single family detached homes, and to make sure that our development community is aware of that and that we have space for it. And by putting higher density housing in appropriate places, we have saved space for lower density single family residential spaces. So what you're saying is well received and aligned to what we've been telling the development. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
So can I say something to that
No.
too?
Yes, you can. No, I knew you would.
So I know you guys probably haven't saw the smaller lots with the nice homes on it, and then they have like a huge park. So basically, they're smaller, way small lots, but they're single, and then they have like a great big huge recreation area that they all use, like this is in 100 acres, okay? And I haven't really seen that in Utah. I know I've talked about this before about in Arizona, because they pre-plan these for 30 years, like down there, it's planned out. And they do this so that all these people can have homes, and I mean, they're 2-story homes, they just don't have a yard. But they have this huge, it's probably 3 blocks, I'm not kidding you, of just, I mean, it's got pickleball courts, it's got the swimming pool, it's got the football, it's got the soccer, it's got the basketball, it's got everything that you could ever want to do at that great big park. And it's walkabout, so everybody's walking around, they don't drive to go to the park, they walk there. But it gives them a way to afford a house. And so to me, and the ground is what we run out of. So it's just something, Robert and I have talked about it, and Robert knows, it's a good way to go. It's just getting people to think differently than they've always thought.
But then you have to be part of an HOA. Did I say that loud?
I know, but it's still, even at that, I really liked where I was staying, I was an HOA, but they didn't allow any of this stuff like parked in their driveways or anything. You had to go put it in a, you couldn't leave it out. And so that whole community looked so nice, because there was nothing parked on the roads or in the driveways except the cars, that was it. But when I talk about the park, I could drool, because it's just, you could go down there and do everything. And so to me, that's just something to look at, because then the water's going to the park and you don't have everybody wasting water in their little backyards. Anyway, I said my little piece. Now okay, the food bank out here, could we turn that to the north so that the sun isn't shining in on it and like literally cooking the food?
Well, that's not necessarily a problem. We certainly can do that, but it's not necessarily a problem. It's just the location of the asphalt that's around it too. So
I know, but can we turn it just to the north so
I
it's
don't
not
see why we
facing
wouldn't be able to.
west? That was on Facebook and somebody asked me if I'd take care of it. So,
Well, it makes sense that that's sun.
so it faces north because the sun doesn't shine on it. So it's
When the west sun goes down,
it's baking the food that's in there. Where if you turn it north, you can't do that.
It's pre-cooked.
Well, again, I think we can do that, but it's still going to be hot regardless.
Yeah, it's still gonna be warm, but it's not
Don't
gonna
have
go through the
direct
glass.
sun through the
Okay,
glass, yeah.
Like turn the truck north?
No,
No, the
No,
food not
no,
building.
you just turn it north
Okay.
instead of having
You're
it
thinking
face
of the food that
west.
comes here on the
food truck that came every day to provide.
No, they can park whatever direction they want. Yeah, we're talking about the food pantry.
So another thing, could we, and this would cost us, so if you come along all this, cities coming from Salt Lake down, they all have great big flags. You know, why not? We don't have a great big flag that shows, oh, this is it. Can we take a
Aren't
look
like,
at
a lot
that?
of those on private, I think the private property, people put them up.
But they're not big, I mean,
All the big ones are private.
I was just called, so I'm just passing
No,
on.
no, I
from one of our
think that's-
constituents.
I think a nice big flag next to our digital sign there.
Right.
That would be really great,
Are
huh?
really nice.
We take a look at it, I'm sure put lights on. So we keep up.
Well, and coming north on the freeway, there's a sign for Payson and it looks terrible now. It's faded and it's.
Yeah. And then down there on 8 South from the condos, Mr. Bishop. You are just an awesome dude. I just want you to know that.
Sorry, what did I miss? I'm sorry.
So on 8 South down there, you know, where they turn by the condos, I'm starting to think people thinks it's just a yield. Because they just run that stop sign. Okay,
Across the freeway.
across the freeway on the other side.
Sitting in our west.
So the other day, I'm coming this way, I start turning and this person doesn't even slow down, it just,
The four-way stop. So.
Yeah.
Freeway.
it's a freeway.
There's usually.
But I've seen a lot, just going there now and going down and stopping, they don't even stop, they just. woo.
Yes, we still on business now.
So you're talking 8 South and 1700
Yeah.
West?
I'm afraid somebody's gonna get taken out. It was just about me, but I was smart enough to stop.
Should we just acquire that corner and put our new police station right there?
That's a good idea.
In regards to that intersection, when is the plan for a light to go there with Amtech and
Yeah,
everything?
because you can't get in and out anyway, you can't turn, you can't do anything.
So
And that would make them have to stop at least on a red light. Is
it's
it?
getting pretty busy with semis and everything else down there too.
Yeah,
so.
it's really
Yeah.
busy.
We would have to pay for that because that's on ours. But
What does that cost?
$400,000 to $500,000.
Travis, you need to go get another job so you can put this in for us.
No, Red Bridge is supposed to put it in when it's warranted, when the traffic warrants it.
And who orders the traffic study for when it's warranted, us or them?
Who decides that? Is it
Us.
Travis?
We do, we're probably a long ways away from work.
No, we're from the
Oh,
one.
it's already way busy. I don't know what's gonna be when all those other.
Same thing happened with the light we finally got down at Walmart too, so it seems to lag. Okay, is that it?
Okay, that's it. There was one more thing, but I can't remember, so. I think it was for Brad, but I can't remember.
That's actually enforcement.
I'm surprised. Not even stop. I thought, how did they make that turn?
Roundabout.
Okay, moving on. We'll go to action items. Finally, I get to say that. For real? Okay, public hearing / ordinance amendments to the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. Kathy?
Kim's putting that up for us. So we only have 2 budget adjustments, which is really good. Generally, we have quite a few at the year end. The 2 budget adjustments, the first one is $2 million, and that is a transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund. And the purpose of that is so, and this is only a cushion. We won't make this transfer unless it's absolutely necessary. But this gives us room that if it looks like our fund balance is going to exceed 35% of the revenue in the general fund, we can move that and we'll be in compliance, excuse me, with the state auditor. The second one is, as Wes and I were reviewing his budget this week, we noticed that his overtime
is over budget. And so this second one is just to allow an adjustment for his overtime due to the work on the cemetery. And that's all there is. If there's questions.
Does that say, sorry, does it say 10 or 18 or 16?
It's 10 million.
Okay, thank you.
Or 10,000. 2 million and 10,000. I actually thought I'm doing your tonight.
The engineering budget.
You wish.
Council, any questions?
Want to do a public hearing?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. I just wanted if you had any questions at this point in time. Okay, I'll accept the motion to do a public hearing.
I'll make a motion, we go to public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open public hearing. For those that would like to address us, please step to the mic, state your name, and please speak clearly. And try to keep your comments at 3 minutes or less, and as to whether you agree or disagree with the previous comments that we just heard from Kathy. So, and please don't restate. So we'll go ahead and open public hearing. Anybody online? Don't see anybody here, but anybody online? Okay, not seeing anyone that wants to take advantage of the public hearing. I'll go ahead and accept the motion to close the public hearing.
Mayor, I motion that we close the public hearing for the amendments to the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll go ahead and is there any further discussion from the council on the amendments? Not seeing any, there's a motion.
I'd like to make a comment. I love that we're fiscally responsible. And we get to the end of the year and we seem to do this every year, and I know it's not something that we can put into a regular rolling budget. But I'd rather see some improvements to things rather than keep stockpiling it. I know that we used a bunch of this excess revenue funds for some of the projects that were not attainable otherwise. So it's been good to have that and just.
Any other comments? Okay, ready for motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendments to the fiscal year budget 23-24.
I second.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Healer.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, number 2, public hearing / resolution amendments to the Payson City fee schedule regarding power and recycling rates and other fees. Kathy, you're still up.
I'm going to introduce some of the smaller proposals, and then I'll turn the time over to our consultants and Sean to introduce the power. The first adjustment is we're proposing an increase of $50 in a residential deposit. And that is just to try and encourage people to have automatic withdrawals, then they don't have to make the deposit. And also for those people that are being delinquent, trying to encourage that we have a little more revenue to back that up. Throughout the document, there was some, just some corrections in language and grammar on that first page, and that's why that's presented that way. The recycling, we're proposing increasing that 4%, and that is to match the new contract increase. And then also Carl.
Can I ask about,
oh, I'm sorry.
Dave, have we made any progress about putting recycling bins at the landfill?
We've talked to them a little bit. We've got the map out there, but they haven't given us a definite answer.
On any of the others?
What kinds do you want out there?
Just what you would normally put in that blue recycling bin, so that people that maybe don't justify the can every other week can still do their part if they want to. Just, I would think cardboard, plastic, and glass would be the 3 that I would say. But I don't know, it'd have to be something that would be beneficial to them as well as us.
So maybe we can look at our own.
The balance of the adjustments were ones that Carl has actually enacted in the recreation department. And so we're just treating that out and bringing it back to you so that there's a formal process for those fees. Do you need more detail on that?
That's it?
Before you go, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
So on our recycling, what percent do we have now? Because I know it goes below 25, it goes up. You know what percent we're at?
I think we're a little ways away from 25%. When we first started the program, we were just about 50%. We had a better rate, and then when we went under 50%, but we've been under 50%. For several years.
As far as people using the services that we're talking about, okay.
We have about 2,000 we're using recycling.
And right now we're getting billed for 2,300 recycling.
So will we be discussing that a little later in the agenda, is that right? Is that different?
We've got a closed agreement, an extension agreement, 3-year extension with Republic Services. And they, under the current contract, we have in our agreement, we have a 4% ceiling. It can't go more than 4%. They tie it to the garbage trash consumer price index. This last year it was 6-point-something%, but because we had that seating, they only got 4%. And they'll keep that in there, you know.
Is that fee, that's a monthly fee, right? Not twice.
The fee that we're charging is a little bit higher than what they are charging us. There's also a fuel surcharge that is calculated in that, so we're trying to cover administrative costs plus that fuel surcharge in what we're proposing.
Okay, we'll go ahead and accept the motion to open the public hearing.
Before we have a little presentation, consultant on
Oh, okay.
Council's in a work session, we've gone through this, but we have our consultants.
Okay, wonderful. Good. Just saw Kathy's name, that was right. Okay, no, thank you.
It's good to be with you again. We're gonna, probably have Mark lead the discussion on what they're actually proposing with rates. And just keep in mind, these are to, support our improvements and, some of our shortcomings that we have in our current system, and also the power plant that we're looking at. And those things should help with reliability, and also with the power plant help to get us more stable on our in the future. But just keep those things in mind as he talks about this. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you again. Back several months ago, we started what was called a rate study, where we started by doing a long-term financial projection, looking out over a 5-year period, adding in your capital improvements, looking at certain financial requirements or the targets in a sense, such as how much cash the utility needs, how much debt coverage ratio is, because we have to make sure that we can pay any debt back that we incurred. And we also did something called the cost of service study. And what a cost of service study does is identifies how much it costs to provide service to each customer or each rate class served by Payson Electric. And once those 2 studies were completed, we reviewed the results with the city council to obtain direction on the rate adjustment itself, where it was decided that we needed to increase rates by about 5.5%. And that was to be able to fund the capital program that was being planned to help maintain reliability of the system, and also to the 5.5% part of the capital would be funded through debt. And that was needed to maintain debt coverage ratios, where when you issue revenue bonds, you're required to maintain certain ratios. And if you fall below those, you're in technical default on the debt. So we adjusted rates so that you exceeded those debt coverage ratios. And we started building up your cash reserves toward the minimum cash reserve level that we identified as part of the study. We also discussed with council the cost of service results, which showed that some classes like residential were relatively close to cost of service. Others like city use and yard lights showed the need for a larger increase. And some of the industrial customers, less of an increase. And in discussions with city council, we established a bandwidth around the 5.5%, where no customer class will get less than 4.5, but the highest class increase that we would give was 6.5%. And the rates that are before you meet all of the city council's objectives. With the residentials, we targeted a 5.5% increase. Of that, $1.53 of the increase was in the fixed monthly customer charge, and the rest in the energy rate. And overall, they would see an average monthly increase of about $5.50 a month for residential. Now, the small commercial class, they're going to see around a 6.5% increase as well. And then the industrial and the commercial demand closer to 5.3 and 5.5. So we're targeting a relatively modest adjustment. And we designed it in a manner that was consistent with the objectives that we discussed with council about a month ago. So I was wondering if there's any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, but I have just a comment about our base rate. I'm still on SESD because I've never been converted over since I was annexed into the city. I opened my bill yesterday and the base rate was $20.75. Our base rate just with the adjustments is gonna be like $13. The reason I say that is because when those people that are on solar panels, that's when we get our cheap power. And we're paying them a lot more for their power than we could go buy it for when we have contracts for solar. So to be more fair to our residents, the rest of the residents, seems like our base rate ought to be going up quicker, and then we could lower the energy cost for everybody across the board. But anyway, it's just something to think about in the future as we're moving forward, to balance that instead of paying this exorbitant price for solar when we don't need that during the solar times.
Thank you. Any other? Okay, well, I guess we're ready to go to a public hearing, so I'll accept the motion.
So moved.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote. Well, no, we can just go ahead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We have a public hearing that's open. Please, for those who would like to address us, step to the mic, state your name, let us know where you're from, and be cognizant of the time. And again, whether you disagree or agree with the information that's been presented to us. Not seeing anyone here. Is there anyone online?
I'm here. I can't remember what I'm supposed to do. Did he say? So
You have two of us over here. It's my wife Juliana and Aaron Westberg. And we're live out on West Mountain close by the dump. We're on 6300. And we've been hearing rumors or discussion on shooting range potential over the years.
I
and
think
want to be
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about the annexation or the annexing? Is that what this is?
Just a second, please. This public hearing is for the power rate.
Oh, God. Okay, I apologize. Sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. Okay, anyone else online? Okay, not seeing anyone here and anyone online, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Any further council discussion?
You know that this is a difficult thing, but I trust Sean, our power director. He's shown me the numbers. I also realize the importance it is to have reliable power moving into the future for our city and to be self-reliant with our power as well. And I know that we're all trying to tighten our belts right now and inflation hurts. But we have to realize too that these costs that the city is paying is also going up for all of our materials, our labor, our trucks, everything. And we need to be self-reliant, we need to be profitable, and our citizens deserve that, and they deserve reliable power. We try to provide as cheap as we can, and this is forcing our hand. And in my opinion, after crunching the numbers, looking at things, these rate increases do need to happen. And I think as we come into these summer months, I know it's difficult because we run our ACs and that's when we really run up the bill, but $5 on average to the average consumer, a few less drinks at Dutch Brothers to sacrifice to have reliable power and pave Payson City into the future to have good power systems. So that's all I want to say on that. Thank you, Mayor.
I got one thing to add too with that. Remind me of that. So there are ways to, and I don't have them all, maybe we can post these on our website, or for those that are on fixed income or lower income, that they can get assistance for power and things and utilities. So if we could post that someplace so everybody has that opportunity to have help that needs help.
And these rate increases, hopefully do them in such a way that we're going to incrementally go up and get to a point where they can level off and we won't have to continue to increase them. It won't be such large increases in the future. And so we just need to be more cognizant of our use. I live in a house that was built in the late 60s, not very energy efficient. And so this hurts me too. I pay these bills, but this is the path forward to be sustainable.
Stabilize the rate.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Okay, if not, I'm ready for a motion.
There, I motion that we approve the amendments to the Payson City fee schedule regarding power and recycling rates and other fees.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second, roll call vote starting with Councilor Christensen.
Yes.
Councilor Hewitt.
Yes.
Councilor Rowley.
Yes.
Councilor Moss.
Yes.
Councilor
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
Thank you, and thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Sean. Mark. Okay, number 3, resolution authorizing the city treasurer to write off certain uncollectible debt. Audrey?
Share.
Sorry, I'm not very great with seeing them. Sure. Guess I have to click share. That makes sense. Okay. So at the end of every fiscal year, we compile a list of utility accounts that need to be written off as bad debt. These accounts are considered bad debt if they've been sent to collections, the customer has filed for bankruptcy, or the customer is deceased and the estate is unable to pay. So this year, our write-off, we're proposing to write off $47,348.09. This is a larger amount than the prior year by quite a bit. We've decided this is a result of higher utility rates going into effect last year. We also tried to incentivize people to use direct pay or an auto pay program and avoid having to pay a deposit. It's kind of backfired a little bit, but we're going to change the way we do it and do an internal direct pay program where they can't pull themselves off of direct pay.
So currently we use Express Bill Pay and they're able to go in and shut it off themselves and we have no control over that. So we're changing that on July 1st for our own direct pay program. So $47,348.09 and then $19,960 was paid through payment arrangements instead of sending them to collections. So our staff, Alice, primarily, she will contact people and set up payment arrangements so that we don't have to send people to collections. She's very good about creating something that they can handle. And so she's been a great asset in helping to reduce the amount we send to collections. But we did have several accounts sent to collections last year and 22,000 of that has been collected by the collections agencies in the last fiscal year. So it does reduce the amount of the write-off in the end, but it looks like it's going to hurt a little bit this year. Do you have any questions on this? I have a breakdown of kind of who is the customer type that's getting written off and then also the reasons they're written off.
So I just have a comment. So you look at this number, 47,000, yeah, that's quite a bit of money, but you look at all the money that we bring into the electric department, millions and millions of dollars. If you're a business and you're running off only $47,000, you look at your staff and say, this is a great job. You've done great. And that it's a business. And just that little bit amount written off really in the long run is excellent.
So we see the big problem is renters, right? And so what are we doing to mitigate that in the future? What are you guys' ideas, your plans there?
Well, we've had a few ideas. One of the things we're switching is we are going to increase the deposit to $200, which was just proposed in this last fee schedule change. That we can't limit it and say that renters have to pay a deposit if they sign up for direct pay. We cannot, what are we calling? We can't say that renters have to pay a deposit, even though that would be really helpful to us.
We
So
make it mandatory for everyone, or not mandatory.
Otherwise we're discriminating. So we are going to just we will increase the deposit. If the people decide to do direct pay, there's still no deposit collected, but we will have more control over that. For those who do pay a deposit, if they're homeowners, we refund the deposit after 6 months of on-time full payments. If they're not a homeowner, we will keep that deposit on file regardless. That is a little bit of a change. So that should help a little bit. We do what we can with the renter situation, but ultimately they're a lot more transient. A lot of our apartment complexes have been giving first month rent free. And I think that might be hurting them even because it's definitely hurting us.
Yeah, they're coming in, running for that 3 month one.
Wow.
So I have a question. If they don't pay, what do they have, 10 days or something? Or late? Like, how long do we give them before we go notice them on their door?
So they are noticed at 45 days, which.
So that's a month and a half after it's due?
Yes.
Can we do it sooner than that?
So the bill is due on the first business,
yeah.
So, but we don't get the bills out until the middle of that month, basically. So we're giving people 30 days before we shut them off. They do get a notice in the mail, they get tagged the week before we do shut off.
And how much do we charge when we have to tag it?
So the tag, I believe, is $20.
I think we need to raise it to 50.
So
that's what SDSD does.
So do 50 for the tag.
I just think that you start tagging them. They're
Well,
gonna
but it's that tricky measures that they don't have the money already, so now we're charging them more to get it turned back on too, so.
Yeah.
We don't want to go too high.
And we do give them, we do a call out and we do that before the tag. And so the tag is a lower dollar amount, but then when it's shut off, it is a $50 fee.
Yeah.
So we can definitely talk about adding that in.
I guess my real question is, I'm with Brian, it's really not that much money when you look at the whole scheme of things. But it's not fair that those that are paying it have to eat it. I don't understand how 93% of the renter, whatever gets the power turned back on. If they haven't paid it, why does the power get turned back on?
So these are mostly renters that have left.
Right,
So they've.
but that's the
left
landlord's
and-
problem.
Yeah,
Now
so
they're in a
that's-
hot, is that not
I'll
legal?
let Jason talk.
This comes back to the good landlord program, and I've been pushing it for 7 years.
Which is not quite what you think it is.
A
good landlord program mainly is for dilapidated or derelict properties. Like they're letting in drug dealers, that kind of stuff. So it's a heavy police presence.
Right.
Police teach them, or the city teaches them that, hey, as a landlord, you should be more cognizant of who these people are that are coming in. That can help. Don't get me wrong, it can. It's something we kind of toss back and forth, myself and the utility department. We've looked into it. It's certainly something that can be done. It's just the effect of it to get rent payments is not necessarily a direct correlation. Flip side of that, if these renters, what they're doing is, if they come in for 6 months and their contract is for 6 months, they have they can get out of it. Most of the time it's, they have to pay utility deposit, or they have to pay some sort of deposit with the landlord first and then go. And then the landlord keeps that money. That's why we're trying to increase our deposits so that just in case, now that doesn't solve the problem, but the landlord's agreement is, it simply says that upon nobody living in that apartment, then you will be responsible for any utility fees that come out of it. They are not responsible for back utility fees, though. That is the renter's problem.
Right, I know, but is what I'm saying is if we've gone out and the customer, that's why I keep pushing, why can't the landlord be the one that's actually our customer?
We've looked
Or
at possibly doing that.
they get charged, it's $500 to turn the power back on
Well,
when we shut it off. And then that would, all of a sudden this $44,000 would go away.
It could.
Or is there a way to, like, put it on their credit, so when, I mean, because their landlord's.
Well, if it's sent to collections, it goes on the credit.
Collections, yes, it does.
But how long before we send it to collections? Like,
It sounds like at least 45 days.
is it after that, though, to be holding longer than that?
Well, until the end of the fiscal year, when we write it off.
No, what I'm saying is, when we send it to collections, how long do you hold it before you send it to collections?
It's about 60 days.
So what we're doing is we're allowing them, so if that was in collections, they couldn't go rent another place and get electricity because it was already be there, it would already be on the report.
Provided their credit check is done, yes, that's correct.
Well, I know that they pay their $50 or $75 now to have the credit report ran, they pay for it. It's not the landlord anyway. So, I mean, I know what I ran them, I have a place not here in Utah, but they run it. You know?
No, what I'm saying is, yes, but not all landlords even require them. Many homeowners or people that don't have access or don't think they have access to get somebody else's credit report, if they don't require the renter or the possible candidate to bring one, then they're kind of just relying on nothing. At that point, they just let them in. And my suspicion is this happens quite often, especially with people that are just simply renting out their home or their condo and letting whoever that's willing to pay the rent come in and sign a contract.
But can we require all these people that are renting to come in and sign up that they are renting?
We do that.
Yeah.
Currently.
The landlord has to.
The landlord has one contract with us, and then the renters, if the landlord chooses to have them get utilities in their name, they come in and have to fill out the application and be approved for it, yes.
Yeah, the application asks if you're a homeowner or if
It does.
Yeah.
I just keep throwing it out there, you know, if we're sticking it to the person that owns the title, it's gonna be a totally different ballgame in 2 years. They'll start collecting that up front and it won't happen anymore, but it's whether or not we can legally do that is the question.
Yeah.
You know, and that's an issue that could come up. If we go that route, because it's been proposed in the past to force landlords to take full responsibility and just sign up and then they charge their renters whatever the amount for the utilities or that and the surcharge, whatever. The only issue, we had Cheryl do a little bit of research. She started making some phone calls to some landlords that she knows. She got quite a bit of pushback from that. And you,
Well, of course it was
you guys
$44,000.
were gonna get.
Yeah, they're not gonna let you respond.
No, I agree with you. My suggestion is if we do go that route, as a council, you need to be prepared. You're gonna get quite a bit of, at least the landlord community in here. It's gonna scream. But then, I mean, we can go that route if that's the way you want.
Well, it's gonna come up more, the more high density we have. So we need to do something. The more high density we have, the more renters we're gonna have, the more this is gonna go up.
And then maybe it's just my generous thought process here is you give a landlord, they get one freebie. And we'll eat it through the first round, but the next time they rent, they need to be prepared to be charging that larger deposit on their end.
Then they'll be more proactive.
Yes.
Finding better renters, screening them better and making sure that they have.
And just
better
know that they're
people.
sitting on that deposit, that they have it. If they leave, they don't, then they have to be cleared by the city before they receive their deposit back. But if you were to do it now, all the renters out there are gonna balk at it because they're gonna be stuck holding the bag and I think you give them one freebie on every rental unit in the city and then we go from there.
We would have to get new landlord agreements for every landlord in the
Yes.
city. So and that's something we talked about. We could transition it as the renter moves out, then get the new agreement to the landlord
So
and have them sign it.
So what's to
Yeah.
stop the renter from just not paying, knowing that it falls on their landlords?
That's why, as a landlord, you have to take it as an upfront deposit. You give our first and last month's rent, and then there's a $500 utility deposit.
They step out there.
And if they skip out, they don't get that $500, and they have to come to the city. We have a form we sign and say, you're free and clear. And we bill you out those last 45 days, because that's the tricky part, is they move out and our bills are 15 days behind. And so that's where we're eating it. And you see the emails all the time come through, well, how come I still have this bill? Well, you didn't, you know, you're a month behind.
And landlords will be more proactive, choosing better people to rent.
Yeah, and that's the
Well, you
beauty of
can
the
think you have
deposit,
the
you're
best
taking that
renters in the
$200
world, and
deposit.
it's just-
And some are amazing.
I don't know that $200 covers the utility bill anymore.
No,
And
it
that's
won't.
what we're taking in the shorts, is that $200 doesn't cover it. And if they are a renter, that isn't ever returned until they clear the bill at the end of the month. But
At least most of the cities in the south end of the county are charging about $200.
Yeah.
Have we looked at what Utah Power does for the renters? We might want just, Rocky Mountain Power.
There you get some ideas.
Just to have an idea of what they do.
Rocky Mountain, I do know from experience what they do. Rocky Mountain does a similar thing where the landlord takes it. What they do is when the renter stops paying, they send a notice to the landlord, but it's not a collections or anything like that. It's just a simple notice to them that says, hey, your renter is not paying us, just so you know. And then what they do is they do collections on them as well.
Sounds like we've got some suggestions we can maybe follow up on, but is what we, is right now, so unless there's any more comments from the council, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the city treasurer to write off certain uncollectible debt.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion been seconded, starting with Council Wyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Floyd.
Yes.
Council Ewing.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Audrey.
Okay, going to number 4. Public hearing / resolution amendment to the Payson Annex Policy Plan. Michael?
I guess the meeting's over, we lost our screen.
I second that.
All in favor?
You can't second anything.
Oh, sorry.
I think it was the machine on it. Burn out that bulb for What happened to getting the big TVs and getting rid of that thing? We talked about it. Steve's got some bids for it.
That's a perfect sign. Love when they keep all the Payson.
The billboard? It's in the, so that's.
We got our settlement agreement signed.
All right, looks like it's coming up here now. So thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to present this to you. As you may be aware, annexation policy plan follows a very regimented process to be adopted and amended, and this is all controlled at the state level. And part of that process is multiple meetings. For example, we've already had a few meetings at the Planning Commission level, one of which was a public meeting to identify any affected entities, the change. And then after that, it was a public hearing at the Planning Commission. We are now toward the step where we're bringing this to City Council for that same purpose of public hearing. This is a very exciting photo of our annexation policy plan from when it was adopted in 2002. We had a significant amendment to the plan in 2018. This amendment process, I kind of detailed it to some degree already, but you can see that, for example, we had a public meeting on the 24th of April at Planning Commission. After that, we had the public hearing on May 8th at the Planning Commission. So we are now down here to this public hearing step for City Council. Don't really want to go into a lot of this, but basically the annexation policy plan has requirements at the state level. What we are doing now is we have to have an expansionary municipal boundaries, and to amend that, we need to go through the same process as if we were adopting the plan itself. So these parcels here are the parcels that are being proposed to be added into the annexation expansion area map. This is the landfill area. So this is some of the, I believe it's BLM land that's surrounding the landfill there. That's being recommended to be put into the expansion area map. This parcel and this parcel are adjoining each other. For your reference, this up here is the Villages at Arrowhead Park. This is the Salem City Sewer Treatment Plant right up here. And so this triangular piece actually sits right here in this white spot there. So those are the 3 parcels that are being suggested to be brought back or to be brought into the expansion area. This is a large map of the expansion area map to show those parcels, the 2, and then the over by the landfill parcels.
And Michael, just to clarify, this is just to be put into the annexation plan. This is not for current annexation.
Correct. This enables someone to potentially put in an annexation application.
Very good, thank you.
And if they're not in this map, they could not do that.
Yep.
So I have a question for you. On the very bottom, south of Payson, there's a little blue, dark blue there. And so that says that's in proposed.
I think that is an error because that is not being.
So that needs to be
Yeah,
fixed.
so we would need to address that. It is only this shape here and then the two pieces that are joining to make kind of this triangular shape there.
Do we know does our area, or does our general plan in that area specific plan by Arrowhead, do we still have that on the books as far as what density that called for in that?
That's a good question. I believe it's identified, yes, in the future land use map identifies that. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but I think it's medium density residential, which is similar to Arrowhead itself.
Right across the street.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions on this map?
One more question. Approximately how many acres is the BLM land in West Mountain?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I think it's in the staff report.
It's our 4 acre section, so it's about 300.
I do know the triangular piece for reference is a little over 100 acres. So.
And the dump is where in relation?
I don't go to the dump that often, but I believe it's just right here. I've been there once. It's a vacation destination, I know, but
We're gonna have recycling there.
I'll be sure to bring the family. Any other questions on this map? So I talked to you before, it's a multi-step process to do annexation policy plans and or amendments. So we are on this step now where we're at the public hearing for the planning or city council. After this hearing, if any decision is made, then it would go on to being filed at Utah County. So staff is recommending to have these parcels included in the expansion area map. There's potential benefits for all of them to be included therein. And like Councilmember Rowley said, this does not constitute any kind of annexation, just the ability to be considered for annexation.
Because if you want to, you can.
Correct.
You can go through the process and do that.
Correct. Any other questions on this?
Okay. No questions, and I'm ready for motion to open public hearing.
Mayor, a motion that we open a public hearing for the resolution amendments to the Payson annexation policy plan.
Second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open a public hearing, same instructions as previous, step to the mic, please state your name, let us know where you're from, and speak clearly. Try to be cognizant of your time, whether you agree or disagree with the previous information that has been discussed. So,
I'm Mayor Steve Styler, Boston Bignanelli here representing the landowners and Fieldstone Homes on the northeast property. And just off the bat, I want to confirm we will never have a shooting range on this property, having heard some concerns earlier. So this is an interesting piece of ground. We've been involved with the Planning Commission looking at this piece of property. Little history with this. Originally, this came to the council. There were some concerns over utility infrastructure to serve this area, and it was specifically removed. What we did is we took that, I guess, as a challenge to find a way to bring it back in, so that we could try to address some of those major utility infrastructure concerns. And how do we do that in such a way to benefit Payson City? I can't compliment the staff more. They've been phenomenal to work with. As we've tried to find ways to do things like regional lift stations, where we could actually perhaps gather some of the issues primarily, and we'll get into this at later stages, has been wastewater. And we've been very proactive to try to find a way that how we could control wastewater in that area and potentially gather some of the other development in the area instead of sending it off to Salem, to actually bring those customers back into Payson as perhaps a win-win scenario. We have worked with PRI, with the church, some of the other developers in the area, trying to find something that will work really well. And we are excited, and we would certainly urge your support of this. Councilmember Christensen and others, we don't want to put the cart too far in front of the horse, but the vision that Fieldstone Homes has for this property is exactly aligned with what the discussion has been around in this council meeting tonight. We do believe in the product that we will put forward for consideration is very much, and we've met with the mayor and with City Manager Tuckett on this specifically. Our goal is to find a way to provide more single-family homes, detached as often as possible. Kind of a unique thing that happened in this process, this parcel was removed from the annexation policy plan, but it was never removed from the general plan as far as the densities that would be there. The densities that were listed in the general plan fall right in line with the plan with Fieldstone that we'd like to present, with an emphasis to find any way we can possibly to include more single family homes and transitional opportunities. We love the neighborhood approach where there's actual parks and amenities, things that you could maybe perhaps start in a townhome, but you love your community, and as your family evolves or your job situation evolves, maybe you'll move from maybe a townhome into a smaller single family home and then into a larger single family home. But you don't have to leave your community, your church, your ward, whatever those opportunities might be. You can actually grow within your community. So that's what we'd like to propose. And I know I went way over my 3 minutes, so I'll apologize, but thank you for the time, and we're excited to have this studied further for annexation.
This little triangle piece, I saw it and I thought, hey, I remember the last conversations, the discussions that were there. I was on the council and it seemed like it was such a long ways out. We were focused on the west side of town, east side wasn't really on our radar. And in these few years, the swing with the state legislators giving us money for the on-ramp on and off right there, that it really has changed. So we appreciate you coming back and looking at it again.
Well,
and having some.
And we appreciate that comment. That's true. And one of the things that we've talked about with staff is we kind of haven't really planned out, and Travis has been phenomenal, the whole crew, and saying, hey, we got to probably figure out our infrastructure before we have a really big road that intersects this section of Payson, because it's way easier to have the infrastructure in with a road to go over the top versus trying to tunnel something underneath a really big road. And so I think the timing is actually really nice to be able to figure out infrastructure and then develop around that road.
I think that's attractive to the city is to cooperation to get that infrastructure out there without taxing us beyond our means.
Yeah, and I appreciate the landowners that have come back and to me, it's just one of those feel-good moments where we didn't put the cart before the horse, and now we're ready and we can look at it again. So thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
The other is that comment online, is that the time they would talk about, is that the annexation?
No, not this point.
They are talking about it.
Yeah, they did. Okay, anybody else would like to address?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, okay. My name's Aaron Westberg. We were the disruptors earlier talking about the annex behind our house. I have a question on the piece behind the landfill. What were you saying it was proposed for, like a more single family homes? Was that what I was understanding right? Or what's that going to be used for?
No, the triangle shaped piece on the map you can see on your screen in the top right.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, not behind the dump.
Was discussed there. The one behind the dump is different.
And that'll be part of the landfill, or?
And we're just putting it back into our annexation process.
Yeah.
It's not annexed at all.
So it's still.
Yeah. But I'm guessing proposed would be a future expansion of the dump, right? That would make sense.
Jill, you won't have to allow them.
What was
What is the purpose in that piece that they're annexing on the left?
Yeah.
A possible motocross track. We're looking at several recreation opportunities on West Mountain, and that area has been considered for
Okay.
the OHV motocross.
And before that would happen, we have multiple, public hearings as well. It's just
Yeah.
into
But-
plan.
I think that'd be great because like we just met with the BLM today on with all of my neighbors, and I'm kind of representing all of them. We live on 6300 West, and that's the highest road that would border a future potential shooting range. And so we want to be involved with the decision making because it could have a direct impact on safety and noise and a bunch of things. And I know it's at the very beginning of it, but I thought we'd, be good to say here we are as citizens, and we'd like to be involved in some of the discussion regarding what that BLM land is used for. Because from talking to Emily with the BLM, it sounded like the CMP group could buy it. Or it would get land patented to them over years. So it's a private company. I just had no idea that BLM land could be sold like that. Is that correct?
And this is a discussion that we'll continue to have. This is not the time or place for that discussion, but
I apologize. Okay. Yeah.
No,
Well, that was my only question.
And I'm gonna interject here just a little bit, just so you maybe can see where we're headed is, we understand concern with what's going on out there, the ATVs, UTVs, things, people shooting at any way they want, things like that. So these are some of the options that we're looking at to try to curb current danger. And so anything and everything we do is gonna be towards the betterment of the system.
Let me just say this. I totally appreciate that. I shoot on West Mountain. I go up there all the time, and I totally agree. It's a little bit of a free for all and a little sketchy sometimes up there. So as residents along the property, we definitely welcome the idea of some more organization, a potential shooting range. Our concern is just with noise and sound and all those kind of things.
but concerns, they really are.
Yeah.
I guaranteed I believe it was your wife earlier, we will work very well with you. We're excited to do that.
I missed the last part you said. Yeah, it was my wife you were talking to earlier.
We were excited. We asked her to get us some contact information, so we were excited to work with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. There's no further input on this open public hearing. I will accept the motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any further council discussion?
I do have a question. So did this go into the Salem annexation plan, and so do they have to approve this to go out of their plan, or it was in limbo?
Yes.
Okay.
It was in ours, and we kicked it out, and then we brought it back.
Okay. Any further? If not, I'll accept the motion.
I guess one this little comment, I'm excited to see what we can dream up for this area, but just a little plug, make sure we have adequate green space and parks for these homes. 'Cause that's always a hot amenity that people look for.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendments to the Payson annexation policy plan.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded. Roll call vote starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Hewlett.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyde.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried. Moving on to number 5, resolution, second amendment to the recycling agreement with the Public Service. Okay.
Mayor and Council, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but the contract that we currently have with Public Services, I think ends in June. And they're asking, they asked us what we prefer, whether a 3-year extension or a 5-year extension. I said a 3 would be the most
know, so we can reconsider that again in the future. It's just before you, if you want to continue that relationship we have with Republic Services for those customers we have in the city that recycle.
You said we have about 2,000 customers.
Yeah, Audrey said it, we're billed for about 2,300.
And
so it's probably about 35%, 40% of customers that recycle. But I think we have just maybe a little under 7,000 total customers.
is this situation, is this lucrative? Does this make sense financially for the city, or every time is this getting more and more expensive for us?
We cover our expenses. It was, back when we started this, that, the council had quite a bit of discussion whether we want to recycle, we want to do our own thing. We didn't propose to do it ourselves. Having said that, I didn't know how well it would be received, but right now there's quite a few people recycling. I think if the council decided to not do it, I don't know what those that like to recycle would say about it. I mean, if we decide not to do it, we don't do it, they probably get another garbage can to go out to the landfill.
Well, and oftentimes recycling is not a big money maker.
When it started, it was. It kind of dropped because part of the contract is we didn't want to be part of the recycling portion and get some of the revenues if they do that. It was all on them. But recycling market kind of fell quite a bit.
There's no money in it.
Probably been 8 or 9 years ago, but it fell. And
it wasn't that long ago.
Was it not that long?
Because I was on council when he came back in and they wanted
some more money.
They wanted more money and they losing. They lost revenue on this contract. So the new contract, I'm sure, has their bases covered way better than the first.
Just want to make sure it doesn't get to a point where it's not financially advantageous for us to maintain this relationship. Let's just do the crunch numbers and see what number of residents, because I think there's more and more dropping off every year, correct?
I'd have to get a report.
They say that the new ones coming in and the ones going out, they're about.
I think it's been pretty stable. But
their number stays the same. Our population has grown, but I don't know. I'm not.
There's a lot of people out there that just totally believe in it. So
there are.
To me, it's like, until it affects us, let them keep doing it.
Well, and I like the idea, was it you, Brett, that said, let's get some bins out there for, I think that would be more advantageous for the city, for the people who really are dedicated to the recycling. They can separate it themselves and take it out there themselves.
We charge it though.
Well, right.
Well, my original proposal was just to charge them the $3 a ton when you go across the scales, which does two things for us. One, it provides them with the recycling, which and then the other end, it stops them from putting it in our landfill. But if we're charging them $3 a ton to take it there and it's costing us $100 a ton to haul it out,
that's going to be the question.
That's the question, and that's
we gather
where
our cardboard, there's no market in it.
Right.
But it does drive me crazy every time somebody would get on Facebook and say, hey, where can I take garbage? And people would start listing off private entities that had garbage or cardboard recycling bins. And I always chime in and say, that's theft of services. They have to pay to get rid of that cardboard. So people would go down and fill McDonald's cardboard recycling. They have to pay to empty it.
It's just not the great market anymore. I mean, there's people still like to recycle, but you notice probably 5 or 6 years ago, we had a lot of bins around town with newspapers and they're all gone. There's not a market for it.
It's too expensive to recycle.
Well, I think as long as it gives our citizens the benefit of being one that made to do that, recycle. And the problem with us, if we bring it to us and then we have to find a way of getting rid of it, and that becomes more of a burden on us.
Yeah, that's
so rather than do that, I would support continuing our agreement.
I would really like to see the agreement, something, but I don't think Republic Services is interested in working with us at the landfill because they're still making revenue picking it up in the blue cans. And that's,
Yeah,
They're
but
gonna make a lot more doing that.
that's where I have the hard
We're gonna make
time.
money too.
They got a couple of.
we can look at what it do our own bids out there.
I would, my proposal here is I'd like to table this for 2 weeks and I want Republic Services input on a broader spectrum. What? Okay. We can
For the
table
next
it.
meeting.
When does their contract expire?
I thought it was the end of June, but I can look at that. If you want to take it, you can do it.
I don't know.
Dave, if we agree to this, are we tied into a 3-year commitment or should we opt out?
There's a 3-year, it'd be a 3-year. I'm just trying to see when that term. If I can find that.
Kathy, you have something you want to say?
Robert's like. No, look at me. Look up here, look up here, look up here. You guys.
I really don't want to say it, but breaking me. The revenue we generate from this is a pass-through, so we try to just maintain what we get, so it's.
We
people
lose
pay it in.
bookkeeping money is what we.
Well, we
lose.
charge a
have-
little bit more,
Okay.
so we do
So
cover
we're
some
not-
of our administrative costs and fuel charge a little bit.
I mean, I don't wanna cause them, if it's the end of June, then I say we vote on it and we
It
decide.
is July 1st, as I just found it. July
Well,
1st.
we won't be back here before then for that problem.
The next
But I'd like to have the conversation with them and see, even if it was a trial run, throw them out there, let's try them for a couple of months and see if they're making money or they're losing money, we can, where we're at, but,
We'll get a meeting with them next week and we'll have you invited.
okay. All right,
My suggestion is that we act on the motion that's, that will be made and see whether we're.
yes,
If you want,
I'm done with my discussions here.
if you want to approve the motion, we could hold off and sign it for a week and see. And then we would have to come back to council.
Okay, I think we had a good discussion, ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the second amendment to the recycling agreement with Republic Services.
Okay, I have a motion and seconded, roll call vote, starting with Council Wyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Lloyd.
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Davis.
No.
Motion carries. Good, moving on to the number 6 resolution, construction reimbursement agreement, easement with Eagle School District.
Mayor and council, this is a agreement that we have with Eagle School District. They are building a new parking lot on the west side of Barnett School. It'd be the northwest side. I think currently, or at least some time ago, there was a house.
Southwest side, where the house.
Southwest side, sorry.
Where we tried to straighten the road.
Yeah. Yes.
Said it was too expensive.
Yes. They are building a parking lot, and so we thought it would be a good idea to put in a storm drain facility underneath that parking lot to pull in not only the rainwater, discharge water in the parking lot itself, but also the area around.
We did this for you, council.
Thank you, because there are a lot of people right there that don't have anywhere for that water to go.
So, yeah, so they were already
Come on up, come on up.
I knew one of you was gonna have a song.
So they were already proposing the expansion to the parking lot because they bought the house on the corner and all that, and they were already putting in a storm drain system. Like you said, there was nowhere for that water to go for those corners, and so Kent worked out an agreement with them that we would, I think we're sharing a little bit in the cost to maybe upsize it a bit, and then we're piping the 4 corners into it. So that's really all it is.
I think it's a great option, and I think even when I've had people complain, that was the response I got back from the street department, that was in the works,
So this just has 2 pieces to it. The reimbursement agreement itself, that they will construct it. we will reimburse them just the costs of the construction of that portion of it. And then the other part is the easement that goes with this. The easement will be given to us for access and maintenance of that storm drain facility. That's it. Yes.
Okay, any council discussion?
Yeah, I got a comment. I think on your, either the resolution or the contract, I think it has the wrong address. Doesn't have, it's not Barnhead, it's someplace else, so. You want to look at your address. Or does the motion make sure it just says correct address?
Anything else? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the construction reimbursement agreement and easement with Eagle School District in regards to the parking lot expansion at Barnett Elementary School.
Make sure it's the correct address.
With the correct address. I assume, yeah.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Roll call vote starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Hewlett.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Wright.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Resolution. Okay, number 7, resolution, Utah Associated Municipal Power System Capacity Purchase Agreement. Sean.
Spends too much time.
Spends too much money.
What are you talking about? Travis?
Keeps the lights on though.
We don't get Travis that much money.
Sorry.
You're fine.
I think I just lost. I had it plugged in. It's the world's smallest violin.
All right, we can hear it.
Anytime. I might need to help with it. All right, I'll just. I just want to first say thanks for my password. It's a really long thing. I can do it though. Right, Sean rules.
No, it's Sean D has the power.
It is, it's.
All of those are.
All right, we'll just skip that, sorry. So I just wanted to say thanks for the support you've given me here. I kind of stepped back when Ryan said, you know, I just feel weird when people give me a lot of trust and stuff like that with stuff like this, because it's so big. And so I'm like, I start laughing because it's so much money and everything, and it's kind of scary, but the way it's set up and everything works, it's a good system. What we're looking at, and there's a big decision here. You guys need the password? Or it's not pulling up? You broke it. That's what happens when you don't use your laptop very often. I don't use my desktop, so.
You can just explain to us.
Okay, so what's happening is we're trying to get those 6 engines, expand the plant. And when you compare the market prices for that 19.4 megawatts, only during the summer, for the high load hours, it comes to about $186 million when you look at the forwards for the next 30 years. If you buy the plant and use natural gas, you're gonna be around $86 million. So you have a differential about 100 million, but then there's other benefits that happen at the same time. So since March, we've had negative power pricing, which is just wild. I mean, we're seeing, they can't report it to us correctly because we're seeing like $1 per megawatt and stuff like that. I'd expected this year's down the road, but it's arrived. And so what's happening is California is producing so much solar, and they have these mandates, and they keep putting more up. Everyone's putting more solar up. And so while solar is generating and the temperatures are moderate, power's becoming free for those hours if you aren't already locked into contracts. And so we have a big contract that comes off in the spring of 2026, 7 megawatts. So that what we'll be able to do is sit there and decide if we want to run a plant or not and try and pull in that cheaper power. That's not in these financials. that I showed you. So there's another huge benefit. I think that we'll end up really stabilizing our power supply by going forward with this.
Have we figured out how to convince the engineering department to let me build my ponds so we can bank some of that free power using hydroelectric generation? I'm gonna run again just to keep this going.
There's some.
Your core Utah lake.
I can't. So what I'm gonna do. So what? Anyway,
I think you've done a good job of explaining.
Okay. If you're good with it. This is such a strange meeting. Anyway, we usually, this is also through UF, so it's not gonna be on our books. We pay it through a power bill. And we can pay it back quicker. So I'm worried about other projects maybe taking debt in the future. So that's what it gives us the ability to move around.
I can't remember what's the rate on that.
It's like, gosh, I just looked at it. So it was high. It was like 5-point-something%. And I think rates have dropped a little, haven't they, in the last couple of weeks? But the thing is we can refinance it. It's gonna be a private placement. And that's what we're really interested in. We can pay it down quicker if we want to. And so as long as we don't do bonds instead, and the differential is pretty close. And so that's the route we're wanting
Well,
to
and
do.
it's not hitting us. That's
Right, the bonds are.
That's what we need to do, is they're doing it.
Yeah, because we're worried about where we already have the sewer plant, stuff like that.
Is some of this money to help fulfill our obligation to SUBPS as well?
It is not.
It's not.
It's
It'll be
not. This is
additional.
only for the plant and it's for the plant building, the substation and the gas to it.
And the
UFs
generators or no?
And the generators,
Okay,
but
okay.
the UFs cannot do this on transmission
Okay.
lines. And so that's outside of it. Yeah.
Okay, and when could purchase agreements be made up for generators if something were to be approved?
On the 13th of July or June, 13th of June, right? Or we can
approve this
start.
resolution and the agreement we have with UANS, and then they have their board meeting next Wednesday.
So that will be done next week.
What's the lead time on generators? How long?
They have the generators. We have problems with other stuff. So remember how, I don't know if you remember, they had bought or had orders for 20 from the factory with a big utility in Idaho that didn't take them. And so then Springville bought 3, Lehigh bought 3, Logan bought 4 of those, and they have them sitting in the yard.
So
The generator themselves, but we have a problem with transformers, and the biggest problem right now is circuit breakers in substations. We have one in, that we were holding off for the Spring Lake sub, on hand that we can use, but we need 2 of them. And so I don't know if we can find one somewhere else, but I think, wasn't it 70 weeks?
72 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we'll make those orders. We were even thinking about making them before you guys approved, because we knew we'd use them in another substation somewhere else. You know, because the lead times are so bad. We're just trying to keep the system going.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
So this is an important investment.
It is. And it's one that I think we need to do. Any other discussion from the council? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I want to make this motion that we enter I want to make a motion that we enter the agreement with Utah Associated Municipal Power System Capacity Purchase Agreement.
Second,
Oh, we had 2 seconds.
give it to Councilmember Hyatt.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
Okay, you have a motion, roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Motion
That's
to
awesome.
adjourn.
Second.